الذين صبروا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to our studios, Gambian Islamic Media. We greet all of you. Today in the studios we have two gentle and great people who have been fighting for the progress of Islam and to denounce all evil deeds in this country. On my left I have Sheikh Kaususane, who will introduce himself, and on my right I have Brother Bilal Abdul Baba from the UK. Right now we're going to give them the floor to introduce themselves. Assalamu alaikum. Brother, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Walaikum salam, Brother Aliyu. Yes, my name is Brother Bilal Abdullah Baba. I'm from the UK. Inshallah, I came to the Gambia to make hijrah because of the situation in the UK of the legalization of homosexuality and lesbianism and same-sex marriages. And since I've come here, I've realized that the Gambian nation and population is also facing the same attack of the enforcement of homosexual and lesbian rights upon them against their will.
All right, thank you so much, Brother Bilal. Assalamu alaikum, Asif. Please introduce yourself.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Respected listeners, viewers from all parts of the world, I greet you all from the studios of the Gambian Islamic Media with my respected host, Brother Ali Sabali. My name is Kaususane. I am the leader of the Movement for Islamic Research and Dawah, and I am very happy and delighted to be part of this platform.
Thank you, Brother Kaususane. What we have on the table today is a referendum statement that we are going to say in the local languages of the Gambia, and it's going to be translated in the foreign language, that is English language, by our Brother Bilal. Ñu ngi leen ay nuyu suñu mbokki seetaankat yi fii si Gambian Islamic Media. Lu tax ñu ñëwal leen fii tey mooy Gambian Islamic Media dafa nekk néegi télé mooy lu ñu ooyee TV si wàllum islam. Si loolu ñu ngi leen ñëwal tey pour indil leen lu ñu ooyee référendum. So nu ñu koy mën a waxee mooy référendum mooy loo xamante ne nit ñi dañooy ñëw ñu booloo pour xeex, te nu ñoo xeexee loolu mooy ñu def lu ñu ooyee vote ñun ñëpp xam nañ ko comme élection tey su amoon tey mooy dañoo wax ne président bi moo taxawal fii moo taxawal parti bi kale ku nekk dafay votal parti am bu mu gën a bëgga. So loolu moo nekk vote. So référendum dafa nekk loo xamante ne dañoo vote si loo xamante ne soxluñ ko si suñ biir dëkk bi, keneen koo xamante ne tamit soxla na ko mu votal boppam. So ñun lu ñu fi indi tey mooy wàllum islam, te référendum bi lu mooy woote mooy ñun yëpp ñu vote pour ñu mun a génnee lu ñuy owee homosexuality, mooy góor ak góor ñuy tëdda wala ñuy def lu góor ak jigéen war a def, ñun muslim si nuñ ko xamee, ak jigéen ñuy tëdda wala ñuy def loo xamante ne góor ak jigéen ñoo ko war a def, mooy sëy ñun si nuñ ko xamee si suñ diine bi islam, wala góor ak góor ñuy sëy wala jigéen ak jigéen ñuy sëy. ñun yëpp xam nañ ne loolu nekkut loo xamante ne dañu ko nekk di def si Gambia fii. te suñ ko seetee wàllum human rights, mooy li ñu ooyee human rights, dafa nekk loo xamante ne dafa yàgg am si Gambia bi fii. te Gambia dañ am independent. fu ñu amee independent mooy suñu ñoo ooyee nasaraan yi jox nañ ñu suñ independent, waaye soo ko seetee ba léegi joxanguñu suñ independent nu mu waree. ñun loolu moo ñu fi indi tey pour ñun Gambian yi ñu mun a xam ne ñu am nañ suñ independent, te ñun ñoo war a jox suñu boppa independent comme nu mu ko waree, war ñoo xaar gaay pour ñu jox ñu ko. Ok, ci Gambia bi tamit dañ war a fully understand lan mooy référendum bi benn exemple boo xamante ne référendum la moo nekk exemple boo xamante ne xamunoon na foofu si dëkk bu ñuy ooyee United Kingdom. United Kingdom dëkk la boo xamante ne moom moo colonisé woon Gambia comme ñoom ñoo ñu yoroon dañu liggéeyloo di jël suñ maam yi di leen yóbbu fekk fay ñu benn dërëm si lu ñoo def soo ko seetee référendum amoon na foofu parce que United Nations dafa nekk dëkk yoo xamante ne dëkk yu bari ñoo bokkoon ñu dem na ba 27 dëkk yoo xamante ne ñoo ñëwoon ñu bokka pour ñu mun a dimbale seen économie bi ñuy mun a di lebalante xaalis ñuy mun a def seen jaay ak jënda fekk sonalante wuñ si seen biir. United Nations boobu buñ demee même lifin am na dëkk boo xamante ne United Kingdom la tuddoon United Kingdom la tudda dëkk boobu moo ñu colonisé woon directly léegi dëkk boobu buñ bàyyee génna seen nguur bi ak seen queen bi moo nekk ñu jiite dëkk bi nanguwuñu woon ñu génna si United Nations bi parce que dafa am loo xamante ne dañ foog ne njëriñ mu si waaye waa dëkk bi dañ indi woon lii tudda référendum boobu moo dimbaloon waa dëkk yi parce que ñu ne ñoom bëgguñoo bokk si United Nations boobu dañ bugg a seen dëkk bi UK wala Britain nuñ ko dee ooyee génn si United Nations boobu lu ñu def mooy indi référendum nit ñi ñu ñëw ñu vote ku nekk def votam so bu ñu defee vote boobu nit yoo xamante ne ñoo waxoon ne dañ bugg a génn si biir United Nation bi ñoo ñëw gën a bari ñoo xamante ne dañ bugg a UK bokk si United Nation bi so loolu ñëw tax UK génn si biir United Nation bi foog naa ñu doon seetaan télé sax war nañoo xam tour bi léegi dañ doon dégg Brexit lu miin mu ngi teexi British dafa exit si biir United Nation bi loolu la miin Brexit dañ ko abbrévier pour ñu mun koo understand so léegi bu loolu xamu ne ñun tamit ñu ngi bugg a woon suñ nguuri Gambia bi ne suñ National Assembly bi mooy ñoo xamante ne ñoo jiite suñ gox yi lu ñoo ooyee suñ National Assembly yi EU Commission bi ñoo xamante ne jogoon nañ fii sax wax ne dañoo def mouvement bu tudda break the silence mooy pour ñu wax nit ñi ne affaire yi góor ak góor ñu tëdda ak jigéen ñu tëdda dañ bugga pour ñun Gambia ñu def ko fi yoon boo xamante ne dañ koy nangu si suñ dëkk bi te pare wuñ ko so ñu ngi wax ñooñu ne ak United Kingdom bi ak Human Rights Commission boobu ñun ñu bari xam nañ fii ñooñu si dëkk bi luñ fee lifin am nañ si ko xamante ne mu si siiw ñun sax xam nañ ko mu ngi tudda Babali foofu la doon liggéey génn na sax yàggul fii mu ne comme mu wax loo xamante ne daal àndul ak suñ Quran bi nekku si biir Quran bi wax mu ne mistake la kenn xamul yàlla xam waaye jogoon na fi si Human Rights Commission boobu la jógee mu wax lu mu wax noonu ñun ñëpp déggandoon nañ ko fii so lu ñuy wax mooy ñooñu dañ ñu fail so rules ak loo yoo xamante ne dañ wax ne démocratie la comme human rights laws tamit yoo xamante ne nit ñaa ngi ñu ngi koo tooñ ak dëkk yoo xamante ne political system bi comme nu ñoo doxalee suñ politique bi ak suñ government bi ak suñ residence nit yoo xamante ne si dëkk bi lañ dëkka comme nañ seet ñoo xamante ne political system bi suñ président bi mooy suñ nguur suñ ku ñu jiit si dëkk bi ak suñ government bi ñoo xamante ne ñu ngi liggéey si wàllum nguur bi ak National Assembly bi ñooñu tamit membre yooyu yëpp dañ nekk loo xamante ne ñu ngi bokk si human rights members of the fundamental human rights legislation bi ñooñu yëpp ñu si bokka soo ko seetee tamit ñun ñoo dee vote ñooñu yëpp National Assembly bi président bi ak képp koo xamante ne moom fii luñ mun a wax luñ bugg a wax nguur bi mooy nañ xam ne ñun nit yi si Gambia fii ñun ñoo leen dee votal suñ leen votalee tamit dañ ñu war di déglu especially yi ñoo xamante ne ñoo nekk 99.9% population yi Gambia bi or 95.9% mooy 95% of the population of the Gambia mooy ñun xamante ne muslim lañ ak ñoo xamante ne christian lañ ñoo xamante ne ñun yëpp bëgguñ homosexuality ak lesbianisme bi mu am si biir dëkk bi ak góor ñuy sëy ak jigéen ñuy sëy soo ko seetee lii yëpp loo xamante ne la ñun dañ ko bëgg a bañ nguur bi def ñu war a déglu parce que ñun ñoo leen fa teg ñun ñoo leen fa teg through the ballot box ñun ñoo leen votel pour ñu toog foofu suñ ko seetee ñun Gambian yi ñun rek ñooy mun a jóg ñu mun a xeex si xeex boobu ñu mun a wax suñ nguur bi ak ñoo xamante ne ñun ñoo leen fa def pour ñu mun a def luñ bugga te nuñ koy mun a defee mooy référendum ñu vote pour lii. léegi damaa jox kaddu bi kii di Cheikh Xawsu Sané mu mun ñu ko tekkil si soose pour suñ mbokki soose tamit ñu mun ci njëriñoo si luñ war a wax. asalaamaaleykum
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abaraka bake mbalima brother Aliyu Sabali akiranye sewoti badi no mbalbe konton abake. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Badi manen kolu anu manen kam moylalu be albe jibirul damin dawdan ninto ma falali. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. muslimolu tanolu melialon ko alayo lessendi ñi Gambia banko kanjam laftan nantale kacha nata kandanku mbadi mala kilirula Gambian Islamic Media nata ka siwole to bi ka kacha ke ali me ko men kunna jangaro no ko manka kunu kunni do banko ye même mu tubabul kam fo homosexualism wala mu ka kumo fasaro sutianni kewnin kewi wakili ka futu nyoy wala kewnin kew ka tulu nyola ka nyoka sara wala mu homosexualism ti nafiki ya nyin kibaro anin kasaro nyin kibaro anata nin Gambia National Human Rights Commission lela wolle mu multimillion ko danaka lafta tubabul hanindila ke nyaadu molla na banko kan jam muslimeya akatantele sunu bati akatanya balfa bati tumo men na joteo anin hadumo ya kenan ni muslimeya la khilafa burkatano dunia kono khilafa manyana boyla munimo khilafati wala mu muslimolu mel bebe dunia kono ibe tara maral bulu kilin kono me yalon ko abe muslimolu tankala me yalon ko abe muslimolu la baruwa abe lolala me yalon ko abe lola muslimolu la fankola anila jata kende anila nyato tanila kammeona ni atara wa khilafa mamboynu kasara jamabe kerin de tarlaw kono bi misal kama kafirul nyel mel yalo idunta na bankol kam inna mulu maraye jojandi ay sanyi keme sabasile wala sanyi keme nani ibe mulu yoronda kam inna sanolu yoronda yenna nafulol ni na diamondul sunya ye samba yenna beanu sajiulu balu ni solu ye samba imanna da wala adama dum muta ye samba forso kam ke samba ke joyati kunda kente nyul be kono le me alon go gambe banko mu jama o kibaro lonne ya lon fana tari ko kono o kamala bimbe lorin be masibo men kono bi wala mo ko European Union ila representative men bi jay ka me EU ambassador to the Gambia wala findita media kono ka tandi ko break the silence wala dewni membe kede nyantale ya dewni bondi ye dewni buruka inata nyin kanin ko ibe laflale Gambia man sakunda ye luwa londi membe keninke musumama de tiolu abela nyantolu tankala wala mo abe fasala nyin bango kanjam natara tonya National Human Rights Commission ila doko momenti wala ka hadama nyanto tanka Gambianol mel bijam miskinol nim fukara o lem jolle man doku so nyin bango kanjam fawol man nyanto so bam man sakunda e keloke ka doko di walla ngabere nyanta ka wolle folo la ko kacha folo bawo mobe men do mala wala kumayata itel be men kacha kam ni bata wala karola musu jolle be banko kanjam me yalon ko ni sokuda ni findira silul ga ni ko ku yabati ibe balukan nin kuruya ko lela anin jeno anin daji ganta yal men yalon ko ibe telefon kasara kan ani la dimbayalu ani la dambeo fo man ke walla nyantuti ban man sakunda e molu kisilo duka ye wolta ye sama correctional facility lito ye karandi dino la nin daji ko la e doku kendol dila ka business do ande marol fo man ke human right ba fo man ke nyantuti janimbe diamala homosexualism la fo man ke adamanu na nyantuti nyim banko ganjam mole jaralo so nim boro ni tan nyim banko la santo sate dol do bare hani kombo jam fankono masakunda la loptanol jama men biji masakunda la nyaton ka jumala kada jaralo nyini wo loptanol do kelim bugata woldo bawo bortije bawo masinol tije melsi adamanu la jaralo isi fasano kabrinte le na independence no wo kamala ni nata nyanto la nata to nyato nya nafiki ya mantara ko kono anin hadumo fo banko la nyanto anin banko dim la nyanto to nyato nya National Human Rights be wala kele kam nyim banko la jata kende ay so kele folo banko la fohara iso kele folo banko la londo wana nyato ta iso kele folo misal kam ni nata la institution be be centralized ne munem centralization to wala ko banko la yiri wa ko lu anin banko la dogu fannalu jama be kombo banko kan nyenne sa en jaran ko lu anin bari mun ko lu anin basen ko lu anin mo santo satolo fol man na ministry le soto la bank fol man na college le soto la bank fol man na university soto la fol man na loptano soto la bank anin do ko bundal ndel be mi be jam santo ron ko le mun di bari mun esi ko mo jam karawne anin do ko mun yakene ni masakunda te do ko bundalu kele la kasambo ma fanda ma fa jama wol ma fanda sani la silo be do ko ma fa jama bo ma fanda man londo soto karambo bundal soto anin do ko bundal no siba sifano o kam mala nyum manke human right de amanke ko be adama no nyantule ibaka kan ko wole londi bari membe kerin do wala muko ibe ikono batol le nyinin kandro itel la jifol be fandi la nyaadi le ani hadama yabe kasara la nyaadi ba hadama ni hadama ni me yalon ko isonta ni muslimi ha dino la ani keta kristano li ka kristani yale noma yalon ko nyin dinne fulol be nyin daji ganta ya haram yandine tubabol be nyin ko kele gam prana na banko kam dalilo me ba kele kam abe o dalilo kono wolem ko ibe lafring ila business wol le expand ibe lafring ila business wol le expand ni dara tubabu du kono ni america banko kam kasara jamal le be keringi kenin ke futol bi jele musuni musu futol bi jele hadama dun nim beana ka kafu tubabu du la banko dol sonta wala le adama dun anim beana ye kafu adama dun nim beana ye kafu bari hani fali kunda monen man fali kewje ay tira fali kewla monen man wulu kewje ay kilin wulu kewla woto adama dun na civilization ani ala hadama yabe fola la nyaadi le fo ay lafi ko kenin ke wole futu wakamala be sirin jambi kana mul konto dia Gambian Islamic Media Toleala anin Gambia muslime sobeol be toleala ko muslimol si balam andu sila balam baya ke kene ba fananto ko ite sonna abadan kenin ke futu la nyim bango ka nyankando abena bango ka sarale ni dan na Qur'an kono al Qur'an ya haram yende sura jama kono anin aya jama kono abo kono suratul araf ala ayatan sekatan senin nani abo kono suratul namli ala ayatan lul nin nani kala talul nin say masatalla ya fuji wulutan iskola liqaumihi أتأتون الفاحشة وأنتم تبصرون أتأتون الفاحشة وأنتم تبصرون أينكم لتأتون الرجال صهوة من دون النساء بل أنتم قوم تجهلون القرآن يقول فما كان جواب قومه إلا أن قالوا أخرجوا آل لوط من قريتكم إنهم أناس يتطهرون ما ستلاك وأنجيناه فأنجيناه وأهله إلا امرأته قدرناها من الغابرين وأمطرنا عليهم مطرا فساء مطر المنذرين أقول دعائنا فعلى مولى نبي الله لوط عليه الصلاة والسلام أتل دم mune balla falnya tetale albuka jero keba mune akendandi albe musul joyila akala ni dia ken kida manna ko baratel mujahili badati atel mumulati min alfiltale albunata alkasarata altunetale anata nyine foye kabiri ala mul bajabila imajabi adima la kay ko allutna mul bonin na saati ko nyini mu fansenen ndir laleti nyini mu molati men senen ton le muti woron tan ni de silano bari masatalla ko nata lutna la mul dimbayalu kanandi merson tama na man kala no nyumen atata nyi mul le kono aki mako ila kuriya kolla masatalla ko ngi halaki ala ye jibril ki anim malaikolu ye banko nyi sikandi le fas santo ye banko duma de ke santo ti wakama ala ngada berke so le jume kam ako berke so jita melkande ila manko do dandara lo janjum on diela fasa amataru mundarin wakama da nusa hakilu ala le yankan katoto momon dimbe mol jibe kam mbese kafu nyoma nga fasaro di man satalla la sariyala anin ala la kilariya mola do ko me ayana tin kada manum bondi joja kono dela anabe moy human right natin nintede sanyi wuli kinin kemenani tan nan nin kilin nin komanto kabirin European Union anin America be human right la ko kachala womu sanyi aman sanyi keme siforo kantum it was after second world war II kolale mu ni United Nations na da kay human right ku jama natin di mo fon be joya kono hani bi America banko kan jam America banko kam mo wuliya tewle ka fa police ke bu sansante mo be yaro na protest be ken George Floyd la kola muna ken ni hani sinin koyol man son kam mo fon jela banko kam anu koyol dundande la banko kan jenne ina ran na fon sunya sanyi kemen nani wucho ko ne ba yoronda kan toro ina mo joyandi freso kam bari o mo wala bara jato fato itel mala fi kawlenti say natara human right le itel so human right ka chandiru la ke mo karandala mo me yalon ko a resista supremacy le mati imperialism le mati wotina no la banko ka fa be karandala da bani nyantole la ni tada cristiano la fanala modo samira no ko okay nyilbe muslimi alle la ko kacha kana do ba to christianity anyanta cristiano la ko la gembe cristiano fana bi jenne bayani cristiano la bible ko no ne kitabo kana bible ko me ga fa me Leviticus ala chapter mo nyaw na ala chapter tanin sainjan ala tanin sainjan na aya mo nim fulaje ako kewni muso ma kenun kew ma nyana futula kewni kew ma nyana ka kafo kenin ken na kafo de ako mu ko kurumbaleti sani dara kitabo nyina kitabu mo nyaw to wala aya tanin sabanya do je ako they shall certainly be put to death kew kenin kew ke kafuta muso musu kafuta bible la sharia bible la kiti ko nyanta wol falale ando ako ila faro ni moma life ikam foi fon le afay life fanka say natara cristiano le mun tenti la tak bible la anin tel mum muslimu le la ta alquran la karan la mun ya ken ni minasila gavo me ko justify la katandi ko at human right ne wakamala ka kumo sorom mbe na masakundali masalandila anin be kumandila isi akalamuta ko nyimu kasarol be sa tonko leti muslimu le sonko kenin ke la futu nyanta dale la banko kan wo hada man nyanto le amanke hada man nyanto ti bal tubabo la fero le anila dabaro le men ila takanna bangol kasara la nyinka ma ila business ol sinyaro da so bawo nin kenin ke futu be kerin na meta bina ya fumo le pornography fana so wala mo kewol ning musol kana ye wuram ye jeno ke kene ba to camera ye loy kam ya ke video ti ike joala wobe america banko ka be europe banko jama kam da famu ning musol ka kafu wulo ning muso silano falo ning muso silano suwo ning muso silano adama nuna nyanto ani adama nuna bunya ala adama nuna bunya bake wala kade karamna bani adam ala ya fole ko adama nuna bunya bake wakam malambe lamoy lalbe kontrol na Gambian Islamic Media tole ala ani Gambia muslimolu be tole ala ani benna balamba ya tandila homosexualism la na banko kam benna masakunda la nani député lu kilila isa ko reje loi man soala hadama ya nyanto man soala dino man soala kule mu men kasarol be sa don golem andum mbe dendara alo fana dila bake nyinde kala kuti men mbe abedena kajada malila mbe parela ka kelo danta dame na ya tara na masakundal sinota foi la fakanyin daji ka kurum dundi na maral kitabul kono ade sotala banko nyin kam ila yumil kiyama momon di la faka barala isra kafir du ye kafu kafirul ma ali alla saya batu ji fajanni ala yang kanto fi tanama bari nyim banko kanjam aloda sariya lekam andu inshallah wala be la bande ji fana wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, right now we're going to give the floor to Brother Bilal Abdul Baba from the UK to translate what has been just said in Mandinka and Wolof to the foreign language English. Welcome, Brother Bilal Abdul Baba. Can you please translate that in English, please?
Okay, thank you, Brother Aliyu. Na'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Amma ba'd. My dear beloved brothers and sisters and the Gambian nation, this is a referendum statement. The Gambian Islamic Media Organisation is making this public statement calling for the democratic, fundamental and human rights that all Gambians have as an independent sovereign nation to vote in a referendum on the controversial issue concerning the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages in the Gambia. The Gambian nation need to fully understand what a referendum is and means. A perfect example of a referendum can be simply understood by the June 2016 referendum vote held in the United Kingdom to exit the European Union, Brexit. Likewise, the Gambian nation has the right to a referendum vote that will determine if Gambia should accept the sections of the Human Rights Charter or any other laws in relation to the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages. The Gambian government, National Assembly, EU Commission, United Kingdom and the Human Rights Commission have all failed to fully comprehend the rules and the laws of democracy. In effect, that no human rights laws can violate the nation's democratic right to determine their own political system, president, government, National Assembly members, fundamental and human rights legislation, and the legal system through the ballot box, even if the vote is not in favor of the fundamental or human rights agenda of the government, National Assembly, European Union, United Kingdom, the Human Rights Commission, or any other source. The Gambian nation need to know that the controversial fundamental and human rights laws concerning the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages cannot be enforced upon the population by violating their democratic, fundamental and human rights in a country which has declared itself to be a democratic republic. The right to vote in a referendum which will determine the decree of the entire Gambian nation upon the controversial issues concerning the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages in the Gambia must be granted to the Gambian nation under democratic rules and laws. Otherwise, the country will actually be controlled by another dictatorship disguised as a democracy. The Gambia Islamic Media Organisation is calling for the Gambian nation and all Gambian organisations opposed to the legalisation of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages to unite in this common cause as Gambians and support the campaign for a referendum vote. The Gambia Islamic Media Organisation is also asking all Gambians to sign the online petition for a referendum at Facebook Gambia Media, YouTube Gambia Media, Instagram GIM TV Gambia Islam Media, Twitter TV GIM. Grounds for the referendum. Gambia Islamic Media Organisation submit the following grounds for the holding a national referendum vote on the issues concerning the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages in the Gambia. Ground 1. The Gambian nation and international community have listened to the statements of the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, European Union and the Human Rights Commission for the last 20 years, demanding that Gambia legalize homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages against the wishes of 99.9% of the population. The referendum vote would put an end to this continuous unlawful harassment inflicted upon the Gambian nation for the last 20 years or more. Ground 2. The Gambian nation has a population of 95% Muslims and 5% Christians who do not agree with the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages in the Gambia. Therefore, it is against the Gambian nation's democratic, fundamental and human rights for the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages in the Gambia to be unlawfully imposed upon them by the Gambian government or the National Assembly or the European Union or the United Kingdom or the Human Rights Commission or by any other source. Ground 3. The Gambian nation have the right under democratic laws that those people who have been elected into public office or government or the National Assembly carry out the decrees of the nation who elected them into their respective positions of power, authority and governance, and not to obey the demands of the UK, EU and Human Rights Commissions who did not elect any public official into office in the Gambia. Therefore, the referendum would ensure that no Gambian government or the National Assembly would be able to legalize homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages in the Gambia at the request and demand of the UK, EU, Commonwealth and Human Rights Commission. Ground 4. The Gambia Islamic Media Organisation fully recognise that constitutional laws do not permit same-sex marriages. The Constitution does not prevent the law being amended or removed by an act of the National Assembly against the will or consent of the Gambian nation. Therefore, a referendum would remove the powers of any institution or commission to amend or remove the laws in the Constitution which deny same-sex marriages without holding another national referendum vote. Ground 5. The Gambian nation have the right that their future is determined by the nation and not by the former colonial dictators in the UK and EU who did not know what human rights were until they became educated by African slaves and their descendants who demanded their human rights to be born free and are still demanding those human rights against institutionalized racism. The referendum would ensure that the former colonial powers fully understand that the Gambian nation has been a free and independent sovereign people and state for the last 55 years and cannot be dictated to and threatened by any external government, commission or organization to follow their way of life or laws by force. Reliefs sought. 1. That there is a stay or suspension on any official decisions made in the Gambia by the President, Government and National Assembly on the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages until the outcome of a national referendum vote. 2. That the Gambian nation be granted their democratic, fundamental and human rights to vote in a referendum concerning the controversial issues in relation to the legalization of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages being permitted under any constitutional, fundamental or human rights laws. And finally, 3. That the Gambian President, Government and National Assembly act upon the wishes of 99.9% of the nation who democratically elected them into office, and that they refuse to enforce upon the Gambian nation the unlawful demands of the UK, EU, UN, Commonwealth and Human Rights Commission who did not elect them.
Thank you, Brother Bilal, for that wonderful presentation. Now we are going to dilate and say more about this referendum about the homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriage in the Gambia that we have said no to, as Brother Bilal and all of us have stated, that you can visit Gambian Islamic Media Facebook page, on our Twitter, Instagram, to vote on this referendum. The links are all there, and slowly we are going to share it on all the Islamic groups around, so that everybody can see it and vote on it. Right now, we first go with Sheikh Kaususane. He's gonna discuss and dilate more about what we have read here on this referendum and what are the disadvantages of this same-sex marriage and what they can cause economically to the country and in the Islamic point of view also. Because we know we are all interested in our livelihoods, and then there are effects in everything that we have to do, and then they also harm us either directly or indirectly. Sheikh Kausu, can you please dilate more on that?
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi ajma'in. Respected viewers from all parts of the world, we greet you once more, saying assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from the Gambian Islamic Media Studios. Alhamdulillah, we will not hesitate to condemn in the strongest possible terms any efforts mounted or any endeavor mounted by the European Union or any foreign power that tries to impose this evil, nasty, retarded, ignorant act upon the people of our nation, the Gambia. This is certainly rejected by the sacred scripts including the glorious Quran, the Christian Bible, the Hindu Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gitas, the Khalki Puranas, and mention any book that is divinely inspired scripture. It condemns the act. Now, we understand that most of the European countries are secular countries. They are secular states, and therefore religion does not influence their policies. Now, however, we like the European Union, including the ambassador who is representing the European Union in our country today, that we are speaking on behalf of the Gambians. And when we say on behalf of the Gambia, we're not speaking on behalf of 1% of the Gambia or 2% of the citizens of the Gambia. We're speaking on behalf of all conscious Gambians. We are speaking on behalf of 99.9% or 100% of Gambians. The entire population of the Gambia will reject this move, and we will never condone it in any way in our country. And certainly, we will not welcome any efforts mounted by any organization, be it the National Human Rights Commission or through an act of parliament, to entertain any act related to same-sex marriages, LGBT, lesbianism, or gay, or homosexualism, or transgender activities, or bisexual activities. We will never condone it in our country. We are a people who believe firmly in our God, our Creator, and we believe He created us in this land to worship Him and establish His law. And we will certainly be question of our livelihood in this dunya. Those who believe that are the winners, and those who reject that. That is your personal choice. However, you will face the consequences of rejecting the teachings of your Lord in this world and in the hereafter. We are not going in Europe to impose the legislation of God upon the Europeans. We know certainly Switzerland and many other European countries have banned the call of Adhan, the Muslim call to prayer in many countries. Isn't this the fundamental human right of these people? Didn't your law say that the people have the right to practice the religion of their choice? In France and many other European countries, you ban the Muslim veil, even though today the medical conditions have forced you to put on the niqab, the same face veil that you have banned the Muslim women to practice some years back. This is certainly going to cause destruction on earth. We know certainly what happened to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, the people of Lut, the Prophet Lot, alayhi salatu wasalam. When they practice this, history retains that, both in mainstream history and as well as in religious history, that the cities were destroyed and they were turned upside down, and rains of stones were rained down upon them because of this act of homosexualism. We certainly understand that the European Union's advocacy for the legalization and protection of the rights of the homosexuals in our country is aimed at promoting their commercial sector. We certainly know that you are so eager to see red light districts in our country. We know you are so eager to set up a sexually exploitative tourism industry in our country that will certainly provide your people with the opportunity to exploit the brains of our young ones, so that we will not have any young minds who think about electrical or mechanical or civil engineering, so that we will not have young ones who will be able to concentrate on medicine, so that we will not have young minds who will concentrate on religious sciences and any other productive area that can liberate the Gambia and make it a truly sovereign and independent state. We know you are so eager to have a sexually exploited tourism industry in our country, which will provide you the opportunity to send in your people who are certainly sick, both in their physique and mentality, to come and abuse and infect our people with countless illnesses which we will certainly not be able to battle with. We know the HIV/AIDS, gonorrhea, and any other illness that is a sexually transmitted illness has been imported by you to our countries. You have never given any aid to the Gambia. We like the government of the Gambia to understand that they are not obliged to accept any condition that goes against our religious rights and values, norms, and standards as a nation. That is either a proviso based on a wrongly perceived aid, because the European Union has certainly never given us any aid since independence. Whatever they may have been giving us in millions of euros has been a small portion of a compensation that we certainly deserved.
Yes,
on my conclusion, Muammar Gaddafi at the United Nations General Assembly 23 September 2009 said Africa deserves $777 trillion as a compensation from the Europeans. Let them work on that as our fundamental human right for stealing and for the continuous robbery and theft of our wealth. We do not welcome this act, we reject it, and we will not entertain it in any ways possible. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for that brief explanation. Right now we're going to go to Brother Bilal Abdul Baba. From then we are going to have a very short series of Q&A, question and answers, from me to our guests in the studio. We're going to welcome Brother Bilal Abdul Baba to dilate on the referendum that we have just read.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. First of all, I would like to tell the European Union, the United Kingdom, the United Nations, the Commonwealth, and the powers that be, that you have absolutely no right whatsoever, legally, to come to any country in Africa and demand that they must follow your way of life, that they must abide by your laws. Because they are sovereign states who have the right to determine what they live under, what political system, what religions, what economic system, or any system whatsoever concerning legislation in their countries. The European nations and the UK need to remember, as well as the USA and others, that their record of human rights around the world is the worst record in the history of humanity. Wherever they have gone in Africa, we see that they have systematically stolen and slaughtered over 180 million Africans. In South Africa, it is only some 20 years ago that the United Nations and others condemned the apartheid system, which was run by the Germans in Europe, the Boers. We see in America that the Native American Indians have been virtually exterminated in order for Europeans to take control of their country. And we see this same behavior happening in India, Pakistan, China, or wherever the European nations and the United Kingdom step foot in this world in the previous 17th, 18th centuries with their colonialism and slavery. The European governments, the United Kingdom and the USA need to stop coming to Africa and preaching that they must legalize homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages, or else what? Or else we will not give you aid, we will not give you assistance. Well, the fact of the matter is that Africa should not be in a position where you feel that you are giving them aid. The fact of the matter is that those countries who practice colonialism and the slave trade should be compensating Africa for genocide, for mass murder, colonialism, the stealing of human beings. How can you steal human beings from their families and then come back to the countries and tell them, we are going to give you human rights and you must follow our laws? The fact of the matter, the Europeans, I am a descendant of those slaves, and the Europeans and the Americans and the United Kingdom did not know what human rights were until we, the descendants of slaves and the slaves, taught them human rights, that we have the human right to be born free, that we have the human right that you do not practice racism on us, and we see that racism is still being practiced as we see the gentleman that was killed in broad daylight on the streets of America by police officers. And this happens every day in America and Europe, just that it's not publicized. So before you come to Africa imposing your human rights on the African nations, you need to sort out the human rights that you're not practicing in your own country with black people, ethnic minorities, and people of color. As the Sheikh has pointed out, you come to Africa demanding that Africa implement human rights, while you will not give women in France and Germany and all over Europe the right to wear a hijab, their religious right to wear a hijab, or their religious right to wear a niqab, or the religious right to call the hizam. Or you will not allow us to have the human rights to establish Sharia courts even in the areas of marriage, divorce and inheritance. We appeal to the European Union, to the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, the UN, the USA, to stop this great hypocrisy and to realize that colonialism is over, it's dead, and that the African nations have fought for their independence and their right of self-determination, governance, legislation, and to live under the way of life which they want to live under.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Bilal, for that brief explanation and that sensitization that we have just
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
We are very grateful to have these two people in our studios today, and I think you are all not surprised to see them, because you have known what they are capable of and what they have been doing around the country, just to see that the right thing have been done. Here, we know Islam is the only way. You don't, when you only say the best way when you have another option. When you have good, better, best, then you say the best. But in this way is the only way. There is no other way. Because before talking about human rights here, just to dilate a little about what these brothers have just said here, before talking about human rights here, there are many human rights that are genuinely needed by the citizens of those people who are trying to export their human right concepts in our country more than we do here in our countries. Because we are living peacefully here. Even those people, those tourists who are coming to the Gambia, I asked somebody who have worked in the tourism sector for years, know what is existing in the tourism industry. Those people coming in the Gambia are the people who gave the Gambia the smiling coast of Africa, because they know the peace that exists here. And we believe nothing made that peace exist and that tranquility to exist in the Gambia but the religious concepts or the religious minds that are inculcated in our elders and the children in whole. So we don't think we desire or we demand any human rights legislations from any external body. Only what have been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what have been brought by the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is enough for us as Muslims, and we know that is the only righteous way you can rule a nation. If there were human rights in the US, if there were human rights in the UK, then black lives would have not been suppressed to this state we are in today. We have seen the riots going around the world, Black Lives Matter, and all sort of things. Those are all things that demand human rights. But where is the equality? If we are still in an era where we are saying white is better than black, or another color is better than another color, then there is no human rights. Before you justify human rights or defend human rights or try to inculcate human rights in other countries, why not you settle it in your own countries? So, as we have been speaking more about this human rights and so on, say Kausu, can you please explain to us, what do you think our National Assembly members, our president, and those people who are in the government, the steps they should take in order not to accept such a heinous crime to happen in our country, or to be put in our constitution?
I believe in the first place, when our parliamentarians were seeking these positions as equal as our president, they tried to make the nation understand that they will represent our best interests. And of course, they will adhere to our demands and appeal as a nation. And therefore, I believe that the parliament are there to represent our collective voice as a nation and to implement laws on our behalf. This is a Muslim nation that was established on the basis of Sharia. This is why when the colonialists invaded illegally, they met some form of resistance from some of the priests at the time. The likes of Musa Molo, Fodeka Dumbia, and numerous others we read in history certainly resisted the invasion of the colonialists, because the colonialists illegally invaded our people, they captured our people, they abducted them, they robbed our resources and lives, livestock, gold, minerals and everything, and shipped them illegally to their land, and then forcibly enforced their system of governance on our people for at least 400 years. Now, in our parliament, be there Muslims, even be there Christians, and even representatives of atheists, because we know some agnostic people who certainly try to represent some values that are against the values of Islam and the values of humanity. Whatever portions or whatever concept that they may have, I would expect the Parliament of the Gambia to collectively, unifiably come together and defend this cause, making their voice very explicit to the European Union. Let them make the European Union understand that this is a sovereign nation, just like Europeans would not entertain us to go to their countries and dictate to them and impose our systems of governance on them. They equally do not have any rights to come to our nation and to impose as a form of a proviso, because the European Union's ambassador to the Gambia was saying that these were provisos. That means the conditions attached to some of the wrongly perceived aid that they give to the Gambian government. There was never an aid given to us. The European Union never gives aid to the Gambia. What they give us is a smaller portion of a bigger compensation that we deserve from them. The wealth that their predecessors have stolen from us, that is the same small amount that they're giving back to us. They will keep compensating us for 1,000 years, and they will still not be able to pay a half of what they have stolen from us. So there is never an aid, and therefore, as a sovereign state, our leadership is expected to be creative enough to come up with plans and strategies that will be able to sustain our economy without having to rely on a wrongly perceived aid whose sources will impose wrong conditions on us. So I'll call on the Parliament to come together collectively and make a joint declaration that they condemn this act and it is not welcome in our country, and to further make an act of Parliament that will block and that will make it impossible and that will make it illegal for any form of efforts to be mounted that will make it possible for the legalization, recognition, or the protection of the rights of the LGBT, otherwise known as lesbian, gay, transsexual, and also lesbians. So that there is a provision, an act of Parliament that will make it forbidden for any organizations, including the European Union, to insert any efforts that will lead to the recognition of this kind of barbaric, retarded, illegal act to be imposed on our people. And I will also call upon the President to come out and make his position very clear. He's a leader of a Muslim nation. He's a leader of a Muslim nation. We voted him into that power and into that position, expecting that he will really serve our interests, and he will defend our values as a nation. And when the ambassador made this, we were expecting the Attorney General, the Minister of Justice, the Speaker of the National Assembly, as well as the President, the head of state, to come out to the public and make it very clear, explicit, to the European Union, reminding them that this is a sovereign nation and they have no right to impose those kind of nasty, barbaric, animal act, inhuman act upon our people. We are a civilized nation and we have the right to live as a civilized people. We do not welcome it, and we condemn it, and we call upon our Parliament to do the same, our President and our Attorney General.
Talking about our Parliament, our presidents, and so on, they should realize that they were all elected by people.
Certainly.
So if you are elected by a person, or if you are elected by the Gambian population, then certainly they have a right upon you.
Of course.
And they have every single right to tell you to do what the majority of the people want. And if you look, majority, if I can remember, majority of the population of this country is 95% Muslims.
Of course.
So if 95% of your votes says we want this, what stops you from saying it? That means I believe there is a personal interest in what you are doing than a general interest of the country, brother. You being in the UK, you being a citizen of the UK, not even somebody who have made hijrah or gone to the UK.
No, UK national.
You are a UK national born, and you know what the back end is. What do we want to them?
Okay, I will be very frank to everyone who's listening to this program, that in the UK and Europe, especially in the UK, I can tell you that the black people there, who are the descendants of slaves, and the white population there, who do not support racism, who do not support colonialism, okay? They see the African leaders as black colonialists. I repeat, we, descendants of slaves, are ashamed of the African leaders because they have behaved like colonialists, so we give them the nickname. You know, like everybody's got a nickname, we give them the nickname, the black colonialists. Why? One, the colonialists came to Africa, and every country they went into, whether Gambia, they oppressed the people, denied the people their rights, and impose their laws, impose their system upon the people. Okay? And also, they stole the people's resources. Then we have independence. And when we have independence now, we see that every black African leader dressed as an African has denied the people their rights, imprisoned them. When the black Africans stood up against the colonialists, what did they do? They used to imprison them, they used to torture them, they used to kill them, right? Or they had to flee from the country. Isn't that what's happening now to Africans? Under the leadership of black Africans. And they used to steal the resources. Isn't that what's happening to Africans? Why is Africa the richest continent in the world, but has the poorest people? Because the black leaders that took over these African countries after the colonial masters or tyrants and dictators left, they maintained the same system. So for us, we cannot understand why in the High Court, the Supreme Court, or any court in Gambia that's run by the common laws, why are our African judges sitting there with a 16th, 17th, 18th century colonial wig on their head, okay, and our barristers coming into the court with colonial wigs on their head, okay, dressed in the colonial costumes? If there is true independence, I know it sounds like a small thing, but we want an African designer in Gambia, we want the judiciary, the Honourable Lord Chief Justice, to change all of this and present an independent picture of the judiciary in the country, so that we have an African gown.
I think what you are saying here, this is the only place where we can start from to get rid of this superiority complex that they have that they want to impose on us.
That's right.
And the superiority complex that they impose on us is that anything that they have imposed on us before is something that we are supposed to keep going.
That's
right. You can remember we opted out, the Gambia opted out of the Commonwealth, and it was during this regime that the Gambia came back to the Commonwealth. So all those are things that were imposed on us. So we have to look at some of the things that were imposed on us, and they didn't go with our religious values, our traditional values, and our ethics in this country. We try to get rid of them. Because when the white man came to steal our people from us, that our grandparents, to steal them from their parents and take them so that they can turn them into slaves, I don't believe that they can compensate us. Because you can only do compensation probably when there is a little matter considered here. But we made these people in holes, and we removed them from those holes and built skyscrapers for them. What can they compensate us for? Because there is no way, they don't have the heart to build skyscrapers for us. Because there is no European government, there is no American government that would want to be on the same lane with Africans. That brother calls me.
Yeah, you see, with what you're saying is very, very conscious. You see, what my brother Bilal is mentioning is so much of a serious concern to all African leaders. I mean, this is what our heroes fought for, and then this is what the African current leadership must understand. That if we say African independence, we must mean the independence. It must not be, just a mere change of, the identities or the personalities, but the system remains the same. The governance system remains the same, the structures remain the same, the approaches remain the same. All the decisions must originate from the imperialists and the former colonial masters. They are no more former. They're still the same colonial masters who are dictating to us our educational policies, our social policies, our economic policies, our cultural policies, and every other thing that governs us. So where is our independence? Our governments need to hold that independence celebrations for the meantime, and let's focus on working through independence. The country need to certainly be governed in enshrinement and within the rights of religious legislation. Even in African countries that are majority non-Muslims, if there was true independence, they should have been governed by the traditional African system of governance. Because Africans had been living here thousands of years before the Europeans landed on our lands with this chaotic, civil imperialist agenda. Now, the Gambia, for example, this is a very small country. Look at Malaysia. Take a look at Brunei. Take a look at Singapore. These are all countries that the Gambia gained independence almost with the same year. But why are these people living well off now? Brunei is a pure Sharia state. And their GDP is one of the best in the world. In fact, in 2011, they were the only country, along with Libya, that are debt-free. The only two countries in the world that were debt-free at that time. And it's a purely Sharia country. That tells you Sharia can really work well. Now, if you look at our governance here, with what Brother Bilal is saying, we still maintain the colonial system. Look at our uniform code. You understand? Look at the centralized system of structures. Look at the tax imposed on the masses. What is the government doing to medicate, to provide the standard medication, the education, and everything? 50 years until now, our people must be sent to Dakar in Europe for treatment. 50 years from now, 50 years to now, our people are still struggling for medication. 50 years to now, our people are still, we can still construct bridges. We still do not have the right electrical engineers. What are we producing? What are we manufacturing in the Gambia that we can send to other countries? So we must produce creative leaders who will really lead us into true independence and do away with this slavery. If we were truly independent, Europe wouldn't dare suggest to us the implementation of this colonial agenda, which is meant to exploit and destroy our country.
Sorry, Andy, I just want to pick up on something that the Sheikh said there. What the Sheikh said there is a very important point, and the viewers need to understand that these constitutional laws and these statute laws, right, have been left by the colonialists. And the colonialists, the reason why we have a lot of dictatorships that has happened in Africa is because of the constitutional laws. Alright? Those laws that were there, they always gave the right to the colonialists. So we always have the first law. Section 1, the first law. This constitution is the highest law and no other law can supersede it, and so forth.
Take a look at the systematic robbery of the French, of the Francophone countries. Until now, they are collecting nearly $500 billion from the Francophone countries for colonizing them. Yeah. And for their only civilization that they brought to these countries. Why that? The example is that it's going to the market. Suddenly, I come into the market, go to a stole Jimbo and all these kind of condiments from your stall and keep them in my house and tell you that for stealing your Jimbos and your condiments and powers, you have to be paying me $5 every month. Suddenly. What kind of human? So Africa is still systematically controlled by the colonialists, and this is what Africans must start to work on. This is what our forefathers work on. The organization of African countries that was implemented by the great Emperor Haile Selassie, the Kwame Nkrumahs of Ghana, the Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, and numerous others.
But
They worked on this agenda together to make sure Africa was totally independent, that Africa had an independent army, Africa had an independent economy, Africa has an independent social system, and our culture and our religion is maintained. But the dictators at the time knew very well the creativity and the capacity of these leaders, and they had to eliminate them all at the time.
And that's what
they eliminated Kwame Nkrumah. They made sure they toppled him out. They made sure they killed Thomas Sankara. They made sure until our generation. Look at what happened in Libya. Why did they kill Gaddafi? We had David Cameron and Sarkozy, Nicolas Sarkozy of France. They are coming together to tell the world that the economic policies, the measures that Muammar Gaddafi was taking at the time was going to affect their financial market. This was the reason. These reasons were put in public. And African leaders turned a blind eye and allowed these imperialists to invade a brotherly country and drop bombs and destroy the infrastructure that was one of the best in the world at the time, and destroy the economy and destroy the nation and kill one of the greatest men to ever exist on earth. The man was advocating for African Unified Army. This was going to prevent wars, civil wars occurring in Africa. He was advocating for the African Central Bank. This was also going to, uplift the African economy. And he was advocating for the African gold dinar. This was going to make it possible for the imperialists to not be able to trade or determine the financial status of the global market using their currencies, but the African gold dinar. So African leaders must wake up, and youngsters in Africa must wake up and start to vote into office creative leaders that are going to use the resources of Africa and translate them into development.
Talking about that, we have seen a lot of people involving in the let's say call it sensitizing people, because that's what they call it, so-called sensitization, telling people that some people were educated in Saudi Arabia, they have the mentality of those people from Saudi Arabia, they come and bring extremist religions in the country. Okay, who are those people sending you to say such things? And where do you get the mentality to say such things? Because if you are talking about us having relations with Saudi Arabia, tell me which country in this world, not UK, not France, not America, they all want to have tight and proper relationship with Saudi Arabia and other big Arabian countries, because they have a personal interest or they have something they are extracting from those countries. So if they are doing that, having those relationships with those countries, how about us who are poor countries, who are developing countries? Where should we be in such
what the Gambian government need to also realize that this is a 95% Muslim population, and that the Muslims they need to start to go to Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai, Brunei, and so forth, right? These wealthy countries that are not in debt, okay, to go and borrow money from them. And when they go there with the Quran, they would borrow them money without interest. And the crazy thing that is going on here in Gambia and other African countries where there is a majority Muslim population is that we have Muslim leaders running to the ex-colonialists to sit down in Buckingham Palace eating dinner. Then 3 years later, they decide to get on the plane to Qatar to our Muslim brothers and sisters there. When in fact, they should have done that from the beginning. Because the Europeans are in debt, the Americans are in debt, and where did they go to borrow all their money to get out of the financial crash and the banking crash of 2008 and 2009? They went to Qatar and they went to Saudi Arabia, right? And before I go on, I'd like to make it clear that the European government, the UK government, the American governments, they are the reason why the African nations are poor. Because all the African leaders that have succeeded since colonialism, they have sat down. That's why we call them the black colonialists. Because they have sat down in Europe and said, well, we don't need to go and steal the money anymore. We don't need to do that. Because all we've got to do is get the leaders to steal it and bring it to our banks. And when we put it in our numbered banks, okay, it's ours.
And we start
we can use it to make money.
That's the same money they are giving us back for loans.
Right. we can use it to make money, make interest.
What sense does that make?
That's right, make interest on the money, and then we give the interest to them as some charity, and then when the leaders die and nobody's got the number to count because they're paranoid, they go and take the money
through that economic.
So they're stealing indirectly through the leaders.
Through that economic control that they are doing to us. You know, before it was direct slavery control. You understand? Now it's mental slavery. Now they are doing both mental and economic slavery because they are controlling us economically by giving us loans, cheap loans, with bad conditions. You understand? That are unfavorable. That is the reason why we are having all this homosexuality, lesbianism, same-sex marriage. You understand? All this is to destroy us as Muslim nations, so that we can have problems with our Muslim brothers and sisters, countries, where we can have more benefits than from their own countries, where we can have more benefits than the European countries.
I understand the point.
The point is raising their foundational crisis. The Gambia, since we gained independence, we were certainly never supposed to go back to the kuffar system of governance. We were supposed to introduce Sharia, right? You know, on that day of independence. Because Sharia is not about execution. Sharia is not about, you know, putting people to death. Sharia is about development. It's about, you know, the pure legislation, pure divinely revealed legislation that God Almighty sent with His messenger to liberate the whole of humanity. You know, take a look at the Muslim world. Take a look at the moral standards in the Sharia countries and compare them to the moral standards in the Western countries. In Western countries, nudity is a normal life. Prostitution is a normal life. You know, homosexuality is a normal life. Animal-human marriage is a normal life. Pornography is a normal life. So many other issues. In fact, there are a lot of social experiments that prove even honesty, Muslim country honesty rates. For example, one social experiment I will just narrate. It was comparing the honesty rate, you know, of Qatar to that of the United States, and they found the honesty rate of Qatar to be at 100% and that of the United States to be at 14% out of 100, because some group of people were just tested walking on the streets and dropping some form of wallet and seeing who's going to pick it and call the rightful owner and return it. And in Qatar, 100% return it. In the US, 14% only return it. So that tells you the beauty of Sharia. Our country was never supposed to, you know, allow the so-called hypocritical, you know, democratic principles to govern our country. We were supposed to implement Sharia from the day we gained independence, and we will continue to be in this crisis until Muslims of the Gambia realize that Sharia is not a threat to them, but Sharia is the only solution to do away with crime in this country. Our crime rates keep escalating. Do you understand? Our poverty rate keeps escalating. You understand? Social justice, it keeps escalating. Corruption in government keeps escalating. And still nepotism, you understand? Robbery of the state resources keeps escalating. This dishonesty will keep being there as far as we do not have the Sharia. This
is a little formula that I'm trying to calculate.
And the point he mentioned also with regards to the international relations, our governments need to realize that countries like Brunei, very wealthy countries that are really, you know, Sharia, you know, purely Sharia countries, and they will certainly help us. Countries like, you know, Qatar, countries like the UAE, you know, Saudi Arabia. The United States have the best ties with Saudi Arabia. So if their problem was Sharia, they certainly wouldn't have any relations with Saudi Arabia. But the issue is to maintain that imperialist colonial agenda to control the world, and the world lives under its mercy. This is the issue. And the reason the Arabs have advanced, I will tell you. The Arabs, they make sure they make the colonial languages as secondary. Arabs speak Arabic, and Arabic is the, you know, official languages of Arab nations. The Chinese, they make so Chinese becomes the official language of their country.
After independence,
Malaysian, they make so Malay is the official language of the country. Brunei, the same thing. If you go to even India, Hindus are doing the same thing. So Africans must do the same. Specifically, the Gambia, we must, you know, reintroduce the Sharia legislation. That's the only solution, because that way all the poverty will be eradicated. Because Sharia provides for the poor people. Imagine if you are collecting the wealth, the 2.5% of the wealthy people of this country, and redistribute and reallocating it to the poor people, then training them on business skills, you know, professional skills, and
nobody will be poor.
Nobody will be poor.
And what doubts me is how can you give loan to somebody whom you know that he doesn't have any future in his business? The only reason why you are doing that is to cage that person more. Because if I see you having 2 bananas, selling them, you understand? And I say, let me give you a loan, and you buy more bananas to sell them. And I realize that you don't have anybody who is buying those bananas from you. You buy more bananas, all those bananas are going to destroy, and you still owe me loan. And I'm still giving you more loan. Tomorrow I come and tell you, I want you to, start growing bananas for me, and I'm going to have them from you for free. What kind of loan chain is that?
You see,
are you helping me or destroying me?
Just like we keep saying.
You aren't helping me, you are destroying me. So they are giving us loan to destroy us instead of help us.
What the Sheikh said there and what you're saying there, we have to understand something here. The reason why, whether it's the Gambian nation or other African nations that have been a majority Muslim population, they have not been able to go back to where they were before the colonialists come. Which in places like Gambia, I believe that villages were run according to the Sharia, or if it was a Christian village, they would be running it according to the Bible. Okay, their Christian beliefs, right? The difference between the African nations and nations in the Arabian Peninsula and the Asian Peninsula is that these nations, when they gained independence, what the Sheikh said, they said, right, where was we before the colonialists come? Alright, we was on Sharia, we was on this, right, let's go back to that. What language? Our language. So they threw all these constitutional law books and statute law books in the dustbin, right? They threw their language in the dustbin, right? And they went back to where they are, and they are very successful today. Now, because Gambia and other countries did not throw those constitutional laws, because those laws were there to oppress the people. Our law is the highest law, and if you come with your traditional law or your cultural law or any other law against this constitution, our law that we sit down and wrote to oppress you, okay, the indigenous people, right, it's null and void. Okay? And no other law or no other system can take over this constitution, and anyone who tries to bring in any other system, against this law book, this constitution, it cannot be accepted. Yeah. So can I just say this point? The problem is, even if 95% of the population of Gambia said tomorrow, let's have Sharia legislation, they will be jumping up and down saying, oh, but the constitution says no other law, no other way of life, no other nothing else but this. Where did you get that from? The colonialists, slave masters.
One of the approaches and the deception they are using, just like my brother mentioned earlier, is to try to brainwash the masses, make them believe that the people advocating for Sharia legislation and the people that are really on the right path of Islam are those that are coming out from Saudi Arabia and they are coming with their Wahhabist concept and all of those. This is a fallacy. This is blasphemous, and it is nothing but a sarcasm. You are the people who have denied the people their fundamental religious rights. The Quran is very clear with regards to the legislation of Sharia. It says, وَمَنْ لَا يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. In another verse, هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. In another verse, هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. It says the people who decline the religious legislation of Allah, they are the disbelievers. They are the evildoers. They are the wrongdoers. And if you ask the governors of the Gambia, from the president to the parliament to every other ministry, they all will say they believe in Allah and they believe in the messenger of Allah and they believe in the Quran as the legislation of Allah. So why can't we implement the legislation of Allah? Because the hearts have been programmed since their childhood. They've been going to the nursery school. The nursery school, every book you learn is not in the light of religion. You go to the high school, the university, every lecture and every course you study is a syllabus that has been designed by the imperialists to make you fall under their trap. And that's why we have Muslims holding PhD coming back in this country trying to fight against Islam. Because this was the goal of the enemy. So this education syllabus must be reviewed. it must be reviewed and be put in such a way that it will, integrate the religious understanding of the people into their education, careers, into their social careers, into the economic development of the state. This way, we will have a liberated country. Otherwise, this slavery mentality will remain for a very long time. The reason why these, Arab countries are very developed, just like you said, they threw the Western, agendas in the dustbin, and today the West have the best alliance with the Arabic nations. They have the best alliance
because they respect them.
Yes, certainly.
And they do not respect the African nations
because the
African leaders.
Independent.
The African leaders, you understand me?
Yes, with regards to the Gambia, I am certainly very, very hopeful that gradually this is going to go away, because we have a lot of youngsters that are university graduates. We have a lot of youngsters that are really very productive, in the media and in every sector, that are really defendant of the truth, and they really understand the right teaching of Islam from the Quranic and Sunnah viewpoint. And certainly, as time goes on, these are the same people who are expected to, occupy the parliament, to become ministers and heads of states. And this way we'll be able to translate our country into a truly independent sovereign state, whose people are protected, whose people are living in dignity and honor, whose people are united, and everything that they would have.
Sheikh, what you said there is very important, and what the leaders who are Muslims need to remember, okay, and even Christians, that you're going to die.
Certainly.
You're definitely going to die. I can tell you tomorrow, I will come and give you $100, but that's not certain, okay? All right? I say, inshallah, right? But one thing we can all say to each other is, brother, I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know what day, I don't know how, but you're definitely going to die like me, okay? So it seems to me like the leaders, the politicians, the ministers, the people in government have totally forgot. They have absolutely no fear of Allah and the day that they're going to die. Alright? And this is why they just do what they like. Okay? Right? Until the day they die.
And most importantly, God Almighty promises, to not offer any form of support to our people who neglect His legislation.
That's right.
In chapter 13, verse 37, Surah Ra'ad, Allah Ta'ala says there, and this is how, وَكَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَاهُ حُكْمًا عَرَبِيًّا وَلَئِنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ بَعْدَ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ مَا لَكَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا وَاقٍ. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, and certainly we have revealed it as a form of Arabic legislation. And if we should turn away from this legislation and that your own desires, there is not going to be any form of protection, guardians or support from
or
Allah
benefits.
And this is why we are suffering. Our people must turn back to Allah.
And in certain hadiths, it says that Allah, if the nation or the leaders turn away from Allah's legislation, the Quran, Sunnah and Sharia, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would appoint dictators and tyrants over that nation and keep that nation in a state of
Look at Surah Isra when Allah says, وَإِذَا أَرَدْنَا أَن نُهْلِكَ قَرْيَةً أَمَرْنَا مُتْرَ فِيهَا فَفَسَقُوا فِيهَا فَحَقَّ عَلَيْهَا الْقَوْلُ فَدَمَّرْنَاهَا تَدْمِيرًا. If you want to suddenly destroy any nation, we try to call upon the leadership of the nation to accept the truth. If they fail to, then our punishment then becomes ascertained upon them. Then we destroy them to the ground. And the worst that can happen to any nation is to have a blind leadership. When you have a blind leadership, they keep you sinking down as others are flying to the skies. So the government certainly need to be conscious of the positions that they hold, that Allah is going to certainly account them for the occupation of those positions and how they run those positions. Must you fear the Europeans over Allah? How on earth would you think that when you legislate the legislation of Allah, you will economically regress and fail? Can't you take a look at the Middle East? Which country is more wealthier than Qatar? How was Qatar before? And where is Qatar today? How was the UAE before? And where is the UAE today? And the same applies to Saudi Arabia, because the promise of Allah is this: if people respect the laws of Allah, Allah is going to open the boundaries upon them. The oil wasn't discovered in most of Arabia during the colonial days. It was after they gained their independence. In poverty, they legislated and implemented legislation of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then beginning to rain down upon them all kinds of bounties. And today they are so much well off that in some of the countries like Qatar, 88% of the residents are non-Qataris that are employed. Can you imagine a nation that is so much well off economically that they are able to employ 88% of non-Qatari residents as employees of the people, of the state? The similar scenario is in the UAE. So that means the people, the jobs have exhausted the citizens, you know, more than nearly 5, 6, 7 times. The jobs of the state have exhausted that Ikatari can hold a job and there will still be 88% of jobs left out, non-occupied. So they need foreigners to occupy those jobs. What is the case in the Gambia? How many graduates from the University of the Gambia and other universities that are unemployed? What is the salary rate of the Gambia? We need to think, we need to be honest, and we cannot go forward without honesty. We need to know that the West will never want our development and our true success. They will want to give us small aid, which is not even an aid, a small portion of compensation, and impose policies that are going to ruin, you know, our relationship with our God and our interhuman relationship. So we need to reject the West and turn, you know, our back on them and then face the Islamic wall and try to discuss with them ways forward our country. This is a small country. It should be a city within decades if we have the right visionary, creative leader.
What I'm trying to say here is, I think we have to come together.
Yes.
Let's tell our leaders, our people in the parliament, our president, that they were voted in by people. And those people had a voice. If they come together and say to the government or the leaders that we want such and such a thing, that thing have to be implemented. You understand?
In accordance with democracy, with the laws of democracy.
With the laws of democracy. But we are seeing that that democracy they are talking about, they are neglecting certain portion of the population. And that is the biggest portion of the population that they are neglecting out of the democracy they are talking about. If there was democracy, why are they not giving that democratic right to the Muslims who are saying no to homosexuality, to the Muslims who are saying no to lesbianism, to the Muslims who are saying no to same-sex marriage? So all those are things that are supposed to be
the democracy for them is democracy for them in Europe and the UK when it's exported to other countries like Gambia and that is you can only have democracy on our terms, okay, right? And you see that's why if the 95% Gambian Muslim population decided tomorrow that we want to, we have exercised our democratic right and we have voted that we want the country to now be run under Sharia, okay, right? They would say, oh no, you cannot do that. Do you understand me? But why? We've had the democratic vote, the people have decided. So why can we not do it?
Hypocrisy.
And also, sorry, I would like to say to that the development of Gambia or African nations will not stop until the European Union, the UK, and the USA implement the human rights, right? That says that the nation's wealth is protected, okay? And for you to stop allowing the African leaders to steal billions and billions and hundreds of billions of the people resources so that you can come back to them and say, oh, your leaders are really bad, here's some charity. You know, the bread, the crumbs from the cutting of the
they are the same people who bring violence between us and our leaders because they come back to us and tell us your leader is a bad leader, you have to start fighting against him, you have to start
then we find out hold on 1 minute brother, then we find out that these people are the ones that are facilitating for them to steal the money, right, and to keep the people in poverty, alright? So we need Europe, instead of coming to Gambia and telling us telling the Gambian nation, you must do this and you must do that. Before you do that, okay, start implementing your laws in Europe that to prevent the African leaders coming there and depositing all the money that they're stealing.
And indigenous marriages are not even allowed in their countries. Right. A right for a man to marry, you know, a foe. There is an Islamic right.
That's the last thing they will do.
Yes, they won't allow these rights, and they still will be coming here to talk to us about these, you know, barbaric, inhuman acts. So I hope and we pray that, you know, our president will come out in the media and then make it very explicit his stance on this, you know, transgressive, you know.
But that's one point, Sheikh. But the Gambians' aspiration for better wages, okay, for a better standard of living and so forth will not increase until the Europeans stop facilitating for the stealing of the African nations' money. And the Gambian leaders and politicians and so forth, instead of them concentrating on homosexuality and lesbian and same-sex marriages, we want them to concentrate on alleviating poverty.
Yeah, we have an infrastructure to build.
Yes.
We have a country to medicate. We have a country to educate. You know, we have so many other important things that need to be really
to empower. So,
yeah, you know, you need to empower engineering.
All those are things on the pipeline.
Even our army, even our security sector, you know, we don't have Air Force. I hope you know that the Gambia Air Force doesn't own a single helicopter. A helicopter that is often owned by private individuals in most parts of the world.
They are here talking to us about homosexuality and all this nonsense.
Reform our security. We should be concentrating on security enhancement, you know, how we empower the security sector to make it a very strong protective security unit that is not politically, you know, influenced. And second, we need to, you know, have a strong education system. Look at the, you know, the WAS candidate, the statistics, you know, that were revealed, you know, in 2018. More than 95% of the WAS candidates failed English and maths. What is happening in schools? It's immorals. Because of the immoral activities the students are embarking upon, and the school authorities and the education ministry are facilitating the parties and all of those gangster lives. This is what distracts the attention of the young people, because there are no provisions in our country that says a young person or even an old person cannot date and have an illegal sexual partner. They will keep telling us, you know, a person shouldn't be married until they are age 18. But no one talks about fornication. No one talks about adultery that has ended marriages and broken family ties and even threatened, you know, civil, you know, instability and all of that. You know, no one is talking about the sexual exploitation of the tourists, you know, of our young ones, the pedophiles, and numerous other issues that are, you know, of concern in our country. So certainly this should not even be a matter of discussion in our country, but because our leadership facilitates the ground for this, because this is why the West advocates for democracy, because this gives them the room to speak their ill mind, and this gives them the room to enter the nation and bribe the masses and raise, you know, the negative voices through the masses, making it deemed as if the nation certainly need to approve those rights.
Thank you. Where is the essence of them even trying to uplift or trying to help those 0.02% of the population, and leaving out 95% of the population without having some of them 99.9% of the population, without them having proper healthcare systems, without them having proper youth empowerment
facilities. If you travel the rural areas of Gambia, you will be very shocked. You are very shocked to discover most families don't have access to you know, electricity. Most families don't have access to medication. Most families, I have done numerous nationwide tours with my organization. We go around to distribute food to poor communities. Some of the neighborhoods you reach, they don't even have schools. Some of them, you know, most of them don't have medication. For example, from where I came from, it was just recent that the roads are under construction. A 40-kilometer road from Basse to Fatoto. A lot of people have to be struggling. Pregnant women, I'm talking about women in labor, boarding donkey carts, women in labor boarding donkey carts to the hospital. What is the government doing about this since independence? So the people's fundamental human rights are being ripped off. And now you're talking about a crime, a criminal legislation that is certainly going to bring about a last punishment.
Thank you, brother. So just to remind you that with this referendum, you can sign the petition on our Facebook page. That's the Gambian Islamic Media Facebook page, called Gambian Islamic Media, and also on YouTube. You can watch this video live there on our YouTube channel Gambian Islamic Media, and also Jim TV Gambian Islamic Media on Instagram, and TV_Jim on Twitter. So these are all platforms you can follow us on, and then sign this petition from there. We are just going to ask our brothers to just to say their last words to our listeners, so that we can close the program from there.
Thank you very much. It's a very big pleasure. I urge all Muslims around the world and all conscious citizens to support Gambian Islamic Media. It's a very strong media that is doing an amazing work in the field of media. This is what we expect of media institutions in the country, to come and sensitize the nation about their rights and defense mechanisms to protect those rights, and to educate the conscious minds and to educate the masses of the Gambia about some of the dangers and the threats that the Western world are advocating to implement in our country. I thank you very much for the invitation. I'm grateful to be here, and I wish the Gambian Islamic Media the best and pray that Allah Ta'ala raises it to reach the standard so that it will be able to continue this great work that it has just started. God bless the Gambian Islamic Media, and thank you viewers for being with us. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much. Brother Bilal?
Yes, I would like to thank Gambian Islamic Media for inviting me onto the program and for giving us the time to talk and to express good advice and education and thoughts to the nation. I would just like to say to the Gambian government and the National Assembly that you should stop concentrating on this issue of homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages, right? Give the Gambian population their right for a referendum. And the government should be concentrating on investment into the rural areas, in farming, because that's where the money is in Gambia, not in tourism, right? In the farms, all the land that's out there that is not being farmed, that could be producing food and products that could be sold, okay? And for them to concentrate on the minimum wage, these good things from Europe, like the minimum wage and so forth, the education of the young, the looking after the elderly, the elders and so forth, concentrate on the nation, the serious problems, social problems, economic problems, standards of living, wages, we have police officers and soldiers on the side of the road. It's a disgusting situation where we have our police officers and civil servants, judiciary staff on the side of the road begging for a lift, and when they get in the car they say they haven't got no pass to get to work. This is disgusting. Why don't you sort out these situations before you are concerned about the ex-colonialists coming over and telling you about homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriages when the nation has all these detrimental problems.
Thank you so much for respecting and accepting our invitations to the studio. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for following us. And don't forget to sign the petition on the referendum on vote no to homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriage in the Gambia. Say vote no to homosexuality, lesbianism and same-sex marriage in the Gambia. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter, Gambian Islamic Media. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.
الذين صبروا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون